Hey, welcome back to part 2 of me over-explaining my trip to Japan. Here's a link to part 1 if you haven't seen that already, because after seeing sights across some of Japan's major cities, this week will be a loop around the southern main island of Kyushu. And yes, Pokemon's Hoenn region is Kyushu tilted 90 degrees. My thoughts can never escape from that game. Week 2 began with leaving Hiroshima for Nagasaki. I had lots of transfer stops on the way there, but I will never forget the quiet atmosphere of Shintosu Station. This was the first place that didn't carry any of the bustle and hustle felt in the larger cities, and I ate the most memorable quick meal at the standing noodle bar here. So from local train to Shinkansen with these oddly colored yellow seats, I arrived in Nagasaki. I stayed near Nagasaki's Shinchi Chinatown and made my way to Dejima. Historically, during its isolationist period from 1603 to 1845, no foreign countries could enter or trade with Japan. However, exceptions existed in Nagasaki. All trade with China and Europe took place here, and Europeans could only trade at Dejima. Dejima is a man-made island, where in 1636, Portuguese settlers were housed to be separated from the Japanese civilians. 3 years later, the Portuguese were ousted from the country, and Dutch traders took up residency in Dejima, staying until the country opened up in 1854. Nowadays, Dejima has been restored to what it looked like during its glorious Dutch days, and is home to loads of captivating historical artifacts and buildings. As the sun began to set, I gazed upon Nagasaki's port, and come nightfall, reached Nagasaki Ropeway. The cable car takes you up Mount Inasa for what they claim to be one of the world's new 3 spectacular night views, alongside Shanghai and Monaco. No, seriously, that's how they market it. But is it truly that marvelous? Yeah, I'd say so. Bright and early in the morning at Nagasaki's port, and here I go out to sea on a boat tour. And here it is, Hashima Island, better known as Gunkanjima, which literally translates to Battleship Island. Because yeah, it looks like one. This small island of 63 hectares was once home to several coal mines, going to depths of 1,000 meters below sea level. Serious operations of the mines began in the 1890s, and soon afterwards, a whole community was built entirely on the island. Apartment high-rises, schools, shops, parks, a pool, and more were all constructed within this tight space. At its peak population in the 1950s, about 5,300 people lived on Gunkanjima, making it approximately 9 times more densely populated than Tokyo at the time. However, the closing of mining operations in January 1974 left Gunkanjima entirely uninhabited a mere 3 months later. Ever since, the abandoned buildings on the island have fallen into disrepair, yet make for a riveting visual of what a destroyed society may look like in a bleak future. Get here while you can, because as time withers onward, more buildings are destined to collapse and become lost to time. Gunkanjima is a sight like no other. Back ashore, I made my way to the Nagasaki Peace Park. Following Hiroshima, a second nuclear bomb was dropped here on August 9, 1945, and brought a swift end to the Second World War. The peace statue's right hand points to the sky, symbolizing the danger of nuclear weapons, while the left hand is spread out flat, symbolizing eternal peace. The epicenter of the blast is marked with this pillar, and a sediment from that day is visible too. The most gripping remnant would be this slim portion of the Urakami Cathedral. Just compare what survived with the rebuilt cathedral. On a lighter note, let's rapid fire through some fascinating things. These statues outside Urakami Cathedral survived the blasting. This bridge is said to look like a pair of glasses. The Dutch made roads and houses in this part of the city post-isolationism. And right here, I could see a Shinto shrine, a Buddhist temple, and a Christian church. Not often you get to see all three of those at once. I glossed over it earlier, but the Portuguese were kicked out of Dejima for trying to convert people to Christianity. European missionaries were successful in converting over 25,000 people in the later 1500s to the point that Nagasaki had 10 churches and was dubbed Little Rome. However, after Toyotomi Hideyoshi rose to power, he became weary of Christian influence and outlawed the religion in all of Japan, mostly affecting the Nagasaki area. All churches were demolished, and despite the punishment of death if caught, small sects of citizens still secretly practiced their religion. Only after Japan's reopening in the 1850s did Europeans settle in Nagasaki proper. And with that came churches once more. Ora Catholic Church is a prime example of this, and after opening in 1865, hidden Christians returned to openly practice their religion. The church was rebuilt after World War II and stands as a piece of complex yet fascinating religious history that you can only find in Nagasaki. After zipping around Nagasaki, I was super excited to head towards Kagoshima. But the rain really soured this part of the trip. Sakurajima is a super active volcano in Japan, but the rain clouds covered the peak of the summit, which often spews out ash. I was glad to see some of the volcano and be in a warmer environment, but unfortunately, there wasn't much to do today. So let's talk about Japanese convenience stores! Simply called kombini, spots like 7-Elevens, Lawson's, and Family Mart made this trip. The stores were always super clean, had cheap fresh food for you to take anywhere, and had easy ATM access. I think about them every now and then and miss them dearly because unlike in America, they truly are convenient. Convenience stores could be their own video, so I gotta stop gushing about them. Next day! It was only a tad less rainy than yesterday, but I still needed to set foot on Sakurajima. I made my way to the ferry terminal and was soon headed straight for the volcano. The visitor center has a small museum showcasing the history of Sakurajima and some customs of folks who live there. Like, when ash falls down from the volcano, people scoop it up and put it in these yellow ash bags to dispose of. And school children are given helmets to wear when ash sprinkles down to prevent any sort of head damage it could cause to their health. I went for a walk and enjoyed the little things Sakurajima had to offer. The rocky beaches, monuments, wild cats, and the serene, tranquil calmness of nature compared to the city right across the way, with a volcano for its frickin' backdrop. Safe to say, it's special, and I really hope I can see Sakurajima in all its proper glory one day. Before returning back, I used the footbath near the visitor center. After a walk in gloomy weather, this felt so soothing on the legs. I ended the day taking the train up to Kumamoto because tomorrow is probably the most insane thing I did this whole trip. So, today was very meticulously planned out, and if one thing went wrong, I would be screwed from getting to my final destination. I first left Kumamoto on a local train to Higo-Ozu, and transferred to a train that was literally just a single car. You could see the driver and everything. Then I took this local train through the gorgeous mountains of Kyushu. At one point, the train pulled into a siding, the driver got out, switched the points, got into a second set of controls in the rear of the car, drove up an incline, and then did the same thing again to get us on our way. The mountains continue to be gorgeous, from farmlands to wide rivers. But part one of the plan had worked. I was in Aso, Japan. What was here that took me off the beaten path? Japan's largest active volcano, Mount Aso. So I hopped on a bus and took in the views while heading up to the top. Soon enough, the smoke of the main crater was in sight. Side note, this is Kumamon, Japan's most famous mascot. Lots of cities and touristy areas have these cute mascot characters to market their locations, and this wonky black bear is the biggest celebrity of them all and the mascot of Kumamoto Prefecture. We had a good shuttle ride to the crater together. And sure enough, the craggy wasteland at Mount Aso's apex was breathtaking. And windy. But the crater was so magnificent to gaze upon. It goes to show how mesmerizing and powerful nature is. I explored the different safety buildings here. Bought a Mount Aso rock for 1 yen, which surely wasn't a scam. And just took in the volcano. I did not want to leave. But I had to keep going, and I went on different hiking trails up here on the volcano. It makes you feel like you're walking around on Mars or some other planet. It was immaculate. Soon enough, I was walking back alongside the road, grabbed some much-needed grub, and said goodbye to Kumamon before taking in the view on the bus ride down. I waited around Asso Station until my only train out of town arrived at 4:13 p.m. Yes, the times were grilled into my head just to look at my notebook from the day before. My time worries were over though, as I took this express train across the rest of Kyushu and its scenic countryside. After one last transfer in Oita, I made it to Beppu, and I celebrated by doing laundry. How else do you end such a magnificent day? Beppu is an onsen town, filled with hot spring baths for you to relax in. I forgot to take a photo of the bath building I went to at night, and I didn't record anything inside the actual baths for obvious reasons. So here's a quick animatic. You come into your gender's bathing area, declothe, wash your body off with soap and shampoo, rinse, then plop in the bath, unwind, and eventually dry off, reclothe, and depart. I went in several onsen on this trip, and I wish there was one near me. They are so relaxing. But what else did I do in Beppu? Well, I made sure to see the sea on the other side of Kyushu. I adore little novelties like that. But I also partook in the most touristy thing I did this whole trip. The 7 hells of Beppu. They're not actually hellish at all. They're just super hot springs. The Japanese term is jikoku. Let me just show you. First up was Umijikoku. There was a whole park filled with varying plants and ponds leading to the hell's entrance. And if the sulfuric steam from the hell doesn't excite you, you have to take in that clear blue water. Workers were boiling eggs in the hell, and you could buy one to eat as a souvenir. But I was more enamored by the shrine here. Add on some more gardens and a greenhouse, and if you only can see one hell, see this one? It's the complete package. Compare that with hell number 2, Onu Ishibozu Jikoku, and it made gray bubbles. As cool looking, but fun to look at for a little while. Third up was Kamago Jikoku, where they made me wear this hat. The whole place is decorated with lots of eye-catching sculptures, but they take away the magic of the hell, which, yep, still isn't as breathtaking as Umijikoku. Them advertising onsen water for you to drink was way more memorable than the actual hell. The 4th hell of Oniyamajikoku was bubbling like mad. But this shouldn't be your takeaway. This should be. This hell is basically a crocodile zoo. It's better known as Wanijikoku, meaning crocodile hell. And the warmth from the hot springs is supposedly great for raising crocodiles, letting them bask. No, they did not go in the boiling water. They've been raising crocodiles for like 100 years now. They know what they're doing. Still, it was completely unexpected, and I liked it way more than I should have. Hell 5. It's gonna be hard to beat crocodiles, but hey, fish are cool too, I guess. So, Shira Ikake Jikoku has a bunch of fish tanks, and then this emerald green hell. The different watercolor here is pleasant on the eyes, and it was calming to relax here since this hell was the quietest of the upper 5. That's right, upper 5! I now need to get a bus or walk to the lower 2. So, screw it! I need to experience more of Beppu. Let's walk. And man, I am so glad I did, because I adored seeing all the steam rising out of the town. These are the sorts of things you'll never see unless you choose the path less traveled. Dirt paths, election boards, shrines, vistas, all along this 2-kilometer walk. But the reward? Hell number 6, Shino Ike Jigoku. The clay under the pool is steaming hot, making the water blood red. Awesome on the eyes and easily the most peculiar looking one. But the most peculiar has to go to the 7th and final hell. Tatsumaki Jigoku is a geyser. It erupts about every half hour for around 6 to 10 minutes, which is an incredibly small interval for any geyser. And if you're extra like me, you can complete this stamp collection by getting a new stamp at every hell. Except at the crocodile one, they're high on crocodile numbers but low on ink. And that concludes my journey around Kyushu. What an amazing variety of wild things to see. I'm so grateful to have experienced it. My next video will conclude my trip with the sights of Kyoto and some more of Tokyo. Thanks for checking this video out, and I'll try to get the final piece out as soon as I can. Until then, see ya.